What's up, guys? We gotta talk about this 6.2 liter failure. Now, most of you guys know by now, Chevy Silverados and your Chevy Tahoes and Suburbans, which are over here, also Cadillac Escalade, which is over that way, they're all having issues with these 6.2 liter engines. Now, I'm going to read some of the article to you guys here in a second, but people are actually pointing to the biggest issue being DEI hires. And I couldn't help but to laugh online. People online are funny. I wish that people were honest like this in real life too. Like, hey, if you're gonna be buck online, I hope you're this buck in person too, which we know is not true. But nevertheless, this 6.2 liter is really becoming an option. Now, one good thing that GM has going for it is they offer a ton of engines in this segment. So if any truck or SUV that has that 6.2 liter, with the exception of the Cadillac Escalade, you do have the option for that Duramax diesel. Now, they also have this what's called TurboMax, which is a 2.7 liter inline 4 turbo. I haven't heard any negative things about that engine. That engine must be reliable, so no problems there. But the 5.3, again, not saying that they're without fault, but you're not hearing too many issues with that engine either. Let's see if I can find a truck with a 6.2. Here we go. This is a 6.2 liter GMC Sierra. So yeah, this engine is the one that's having those issues. And because this is a 2024, this one has the stop sale. But let's go ahead and get started. I have an article I want to read to you guys. This is on GMauthority.com. They typically have a lot of automotive news for GM. So it says here, here's why GM 6.2 liter V8 recall doesn't apply to 2025 vehicles. So this will answer the question. Last week, we reported that GM issued a safety recall that included a long list of vehicles powered by the 6.2 liter engine. The problem has to do with connecting rod and crankshaft components with unspecified manufacturing defects. That's a very interesting word, unspecified defects. Regardless, the recall applies to the Silverado 1500, Sierra 1500, Tahoe Suburban, Yukon XL, Escalade, and then of course the ESV. But only from the 2021 through 2024 model years. Goes on to say, this made us wonder, why isn't the 2025 model year included in the recall? We asked General Motors, and here's what they told us. A series of crankshaft and connecting rod manufacturing improvements implemented on or before June 1st, 2024 addressed contamination and quality issues. Model year 2025 vehicles were built after these improvements and are not included in the recall. GM's decision to issue a recall follows a series of lawsuits, investigations, and engine replacements regarding consistent problems with the 6.2 liter V8. For reference, the General Motors recall number is right here. So if you guys want to look that up, feel free. I have to be brutally honest with you guys because I had no idea that this recall was for what they stated here. I thought this recall was for cam lifters. I have a few friends that have had 5.3s, 6.2s, and those engines had cam and lifter failures, ticking noises coming out of the engines, basically from the lifter, excuse me. So most people know now that GM has DFM on these engines, and Ram has what's called MDS. MDS is multi-displacement system. DFM is dynamic fuel management. So all that means is it allows the engine to run on half the cylinders, 4 cylinders. Some engines will allow it to run on 2 cylinders, which I didn't even know that. These systems are crazy. Now, back in 2022, trucks with DFM were being delivered without it because of the chip shortage. And so that's why 2022 is probably the best model year of truck to get from GM for sure. But I'm not sure why the cam lifters has not been brought up in this article, because I didn't read this article. I just read the comments for this article, which kind of plays into that DEI. But let's keep reading. I want to read a few more things. I want to show you guys what they're going to do to resolve this issue. Says here, General Motors trucks and SUVs affected by the recall will be inspected for manufacturing defects. Vehicles that pass inspection will receive an engine oil and filter change, this time using high viscosity 0W40 Mobil 1 supercar oil. Congratulations owners, your oil changes are about to go up in cost. The owner's manual for L87 equipped trucks calls for 0W20 oil. The oil fill cap will also be replaced to reflect the new oil type. It's unclear what happens if an affected truck does not pass inspection, but an engine replacement is likely. So why are people blaming DEI for these failures? It's a good question. Now, the CEO of GM is, drum roll please, it's a woman. So everyone now is trying to place blame. Now, obviously, whenever there's anything that happens in the company, the CEO always has to step down because they have to save face, right? And in this case here, people are trying to find blame, which is pretty typical for business. Now, let me just make this point really quickly. I disagree strongly with DEI. I always have to tell people, I work for a company and I tell you, DEI is not what it seems. I learned very quickly who DEI was really for. So I won't get political here just because I know people get in their feelings. But yes, DEI is just an agenda for the future. And the only question I'll ask you is who will be in the minority in the future? Just saying. Let's go ahead and read these comments so you guys can see what people are saying about DEI hires. The first comment says, oversized lifter bores, connecting rod bearing failures, and only on the 6.2. Did they have a diversity hire as a quality engineer overseeing the 6.2 during a certain administration that was in full force from 21 through 24, and the rectified issue in June 2024 was the firing of said employee? So someone just popped off in the comment section with that. Someone responded, not sure if it's male or female, says you must be correct. They're saying sarcasm on, by the way. So you must be correct because everyone knows that white males are better at everything than everyone else at every job, basically what they're saying. I'm just paraphrasing there. And then sarcasm off says, except for veterinarians, 60% of practicing veterinarians in the US are female and 87% of vet school students are female. Looks like white males obviously can't compete in every profession. And then someone responded, well, then we need DEI for white men in the veterinarian profession. LOL. You already have DEI in the veterinary profession as well as all other professions. Now they have to compete. Oh, the horror of it all. I hate the thought of a potentially incompetent DEI hire working on my dog. I hate it even more when it's the person flying and trying to fly in the airplane I'm sitting in. So you're saying this is a woman's fault. And then DEI is nothing but reverse discrimination. Your skin color, and ethnicity, and sex have more weight than your qualifications do for obtaining the job. So this is actually a really good comment. Just go ahead and read that one. So again, I think what we have to take away from this is people are going to be in their feelings regardless of a situation. I don't think that anyone can blame this on male or female or race. A lot of times it's just the luck of the draw. I think that companies today are the biggest blame because you can see it all in the cost cutting. Look at the cost cutting that's happening, not just in one manufacturer, but across the board. Every year they're taking away an option. Every year they're making something more expensive with making the overall materials cheaper. Like for example, with Ram, like they got rid of the full leather seats and they added cloth material to them. Or even the fact that GM, they used to have the smart key system for the front and rear doors. Now they just have them for the front doors. So it's like every year they're like nickel and dime trying to find a way to cut cost. And that's kind of what happened here. Like this is not really a person at fault. This is just money. This all comes down to money. And I think that people have to really get out of their feelings. Yes, obviously most of you guys know the helicopter that crashed into the airplane earlier this year. You know, Donald Trump blamed the helicopter pilot for DEI hire. And I didn't agree with him for that. I think that sometimes in life, things just have to play out the way they're going to play out. Sometimes you don't have to say anything. I've learned that being quiet is way better than being loud. And so right now, GM is paying the ultimate price, in my opinion, for being cheap. And here's why. I commend them for building trucks and SUVs with V8s to this day, because Ram, Ford, Toyota, I mean, even Nissan, for example, with the Armada, they don't have V8s anymore. Granted, Ford does, but not inside of the Expedition. And you can't get the V8 in every model for the trucks. So when it really comes down to it, the V8s are so outdated that they're going to have problems. They're not updating these engines, but they've added a lot of emissions control. They've added DFM, MDS over the course of the, within the last decade, I would say. They've added a lot of those types of features on the engines, but they haven't made them better. Like, what have they done to the 6.2 within the last decade? What have they done to the 5.3 liter? What have they done with the 5.7 for Ram or the 6.4? So regardless of where you sit at, it doesn't matter about politics here. We just need better cars. It's very inconvenient to see people having to lose their $80, $90, $100,000 truck or SUV for a month because the manufacturer did a poor job building the engine. So I hope this was helpful. As I said, I don't mind people having an opinion. I think that that's the problem in our country, is people need to have an opinion. But see, my problem is people who have an opinion should be honest about their opinion, not just in the comment section that no one can see you at. See, whatever I say on this camera, I'll say in public too. I'm not afraid to say anything that I say on this camera. And when I go in the comment sections, I will say whatever I would say in that comment section that I will say on this camera too, because there's no reason to hide. I feel as though that is the problem in society today, is that we hide behind our computers and our phones and comment sections. And that to me is just as bad as a DEI hire.